Hi, kindergarten friends. This week we are going to be talking about a new animal group. So far, we've talked about mammals. Last week, we talked about reptiles. And now, this week and some of next week, we're going to be talking about birds. Now, before you do this activity with me, please make sure that you watch the bird video. If you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend going back and watching that video because it's going to really help you understand what I'm going to talk to you about today. So on your screen, on written in blue, I wrote birds. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the words that I heard in the bird video that you just watched. And these words are very important to helping you understand birds. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is how birds are oviparous. Can you say oviparous? Now, whenever in the video it said that oviparous means that birds lay eggs. So all birds lay eggs, and that is very similar. They are very similar to reptile in the sense that most reptiles lay eggs. So they are oviparous. Now, they also talked about how birds are oviparous and they lay eggs. Something that I learned is that whenever they lay their eggs, they have to use the heat of their body. They have to incubate and sit on their eggs so that the warmth from their body can help them hatch. So anytime we're talking about birds and you hear the word incubate, all that means is that the bird is sitting on the eggs, and the bird needs to sit on the eggs because the eggs need to feel its warm body in order for the eggs to hatch. So that's what incubate means. So far we know that birds are viviparous, they lay eggs, and they incubate the eggs. So they use the warmth from their body to help those eggs hatch. Now, something else I heard in the video is the word bill, how birds have bills. Do you know what a bill is when you're talking about a bird? It's a part of their body. It's their beak. So anytime you want to talk about a bird's beak, you can say it's bill. Now, birds do not have teeth. They have beaks that vary in size, and it just depends on what they're going to eat. And we're going to talk a little bit more about their bills or beaks later on. Birds also have lungs. So birds are just like mammals, that they need lungs in order to breathe, and they're like reptiles as well. So in the video, it said that birds have lungs and that their lungs are connected to bags that are full of air. And these bags that are full of air are called air sacs. Can you say that? Air sacs. So these air sacs are what help them be able to fly. So again, they have lungs just like us, except that their lungs are connected by the bags, the air sacs that are full of air, which is helping them fly. Another thing that I learned in the video is that birds have feathers. And when we're talking about feathers for birds, they have 4 different types of feathers. And I'm going to go over these different types of feathers with you so you can understand the importance of the feathers on a bird's body. So the first type of feathers that birds have are called cover feathers. Can you say cover feathers? Cover feathers are feathers that cover a bird's entire body. The second type of feathers that a bird has are called flight feathers. Can you say flight feathers with me? Flight feathers. So when you're talking about flight feathers, those are just feathers that are in the bird's wings. And those are the feathers that are going to help the bird be able to fly. So anytime you hear flight feathers, you are only looking at those feathers in the wings. The third type of feathers that birds have are called down feathers. Can you say that with me? Down feathers. So when you're looking at a bird, down feathers are found on the bird's chest and on their belly. And the reason why these feathers are so important is because that's what helps maintain their body at a constant temperature. So these birds are warm-blooded like us, And then the last type of feathers that birds have are called tail feathers. Will you say that with me? Tail feathers. And where do you think these feathers are? These feathers are found on the tail of a bird. And these feathers are so important because this is what helps the bird, and this is what helps guide the bird's body when it's flying in the air. So all of the feathers on a bird are so important and play an important role in helping these birds. Now we're going to move on to talking about birds, what they eat, and then we're going to talk a lot about their bills, their beaks. And we know that beaks can come in all different sizes, and it just depends on what they eat. Now, birds can be herbivores. What is an herbivore? We learned a lot about herbivores when we were talking about dinosaurs. So an herbivore means that they're not eating meat. So birds that are herbivores eat a lot of plants, grass, and seeds and grains. Now, these birds have very short, strong beaks, and they need very short and strong beaks so they can be able to crush the seeds open and to get the grains that they need to eat. Now, when you're talking about herbivores, you can have birds that only eat grains, and that's called granivores. Can you say granivores? So those again are birds that the only thing they're going to be eating is grains and nothing else. Now we're going to move on to carnivores. Now, what does a carnivore mean? Can you think back? And if you look at the picture right next to where I put carnivores, that can give you an idea of what that could mean. So a carnivore means that they eat other animals. So they're eating meat. Now, their beak is different than the herbivore's beak. So herbivores have that short beak and it's very strong. These animals that eat carnivores, these birds, also have very strong beaks, but their beaks are more curved. And that's what helps them be able to kind of eat the meat that they get. Now, within carnivores, you can have birds that just eat insects, and these are called insectivores. Can you say insectivores? So all of their food just comes from insects, those birds. And then you have birds that are piscivores. Can you say piscivores? Those are the birds that only eat fish. And when you're talking about piscivores, birds that only eat fish, they have very long, pointed, sharp beaks. Why would a bird who's a piscivore, a bird who eats fish, need a long beak that's pointed? They need a very long beak so that they're able to go in the water or put their head down and catch those fish that may be a little farther from where they are. So their beaks and the size are very important because that's what is helping them be able to eat the food that they eat. And then the last type is omnivores. What does an omnivore mean? So an omnivore means that these birds will eat anything. And an example of an omnivore is a pigeon and a hen. So they'll eat grass, they'll eat meat, they'll eat insects. So they're not just only eating one certain type of food. So today you learned some very important words that you can use when you're talking about a bird.